I got a monitor for Mike Gore's quit, and I had a spare one in my
Okay,
truck.
I'm going a
Gave it
little
to him.
early, just in case
Send
it
that to
didn't go
street,
live,
give
and
it
look
to
at that, we
street.
have no problems this time, so,
Change the numbers
great.
around.
Guess we got 2 minutes of me. Maybe.
And there is 2 of them that got taken out of the right shop that we need to find.
Okay. Yeah, I seen that one.
Sure
sitting up
enough.
there.
Taken out
It was
of
sitting
the
right
right
there.
shop.
already, yeah.
Yeah, and all the codes and everything's been changed. up.
Alright.
Oh, what's it now?
I can't tell you.
Oh, David,
But the driver's room is still the 525.
I have
Okay.
something for you.
But everything else has changed.
So we can't get in the shop for parts?
Nope,
Okay.
not at all. And that didn't come down from me.
I'll have to figure it out then, I guess. 'Cause
Yep.
some of this stuff I don't got, you know, like, they say, oh, it's this size, and you get out there and it's those little itty bitty ones, and I don't carry those.
Alrighty, dardy.
I put in the barrel count for today.
So we have another minute left here,
But I didn't.
and
Yeah, it
then
was all
we will
full,
jump
you know, that one was
in
about half or so.
to today's
I forgot to
topic.
put it in there when they sent all that stuff in there. I was gonna do that and somebody, who the hell, 'cause somebody started talking.
Is
to me
there a
about-
comment section? Or am I just missing that?
Yeah, but yeah, we need to get that trailer.
Hey, David.
Too.
That one.
Live
that
chat,
one on the
sure
back,
enough.
The xylene, when it came, I'm gonna pull it out.
We're
that other one.
we're categorized as content made for kids. So the chat feature's off.
So if you say, shoot, it's gonna come up with X's.
I see, Ethan, that the live chat is off.
These guys close up here at 5 for that, right? Okay.
Made for Here, I'll change it, David. I got it.
If you call ahead and let her know that you're gonna be late.
I think.
She'll usually meet you down there.
Okay, yeah, she did that last time for me.
No, it's not made for kids.
Something happened, I think it was
Okay.
in the driver.
Try it out now.
Something happened.
I understand there's no chat, guys. This is why I got on a little early to solve the problems.
So those truck numbers look backwards.
Yes, I flipped the photo
I see that.
because I got destroyed for it last week.
I'll bet you somebody's got my damn chair.
I saved it for you.
Keep going.
Can somebody pull up YouTube and let me know if it's on? I'm not sure if it is.
Hey, that looks a little bit better.
Thank you. I tried
But
really
we need to
hard.
get another one with an OTR truck in it.
Okay, this is just for aesthetic purposes. Just
But we all see
looks
it.
nice. Okay, so I'm just gonna assume that my stream is not on anymore.
Save my chair, dude. I'm going in the sign.
Oh, I'm showing you private.
I'll sit in.
Private?
At the end.
That's what I just popped
Can
up
we pass
with.
that when you're done?
Good lord.
Get out of my chair.
No, not yet. I opened it.
Personality test?
I opened it and that's as far as I got.
Did you, personality test?
Not yet.
Do I need to send an email out?
6 feet.
No, I think we got it this time.
Where is that at? In your email with the long.
I might have messed up though.
So wait, that's what I'm saying, you want me to send an email out?
Does anybody have a plan?
It's 2 after, you know they're freaking out.
I know.
Thanks. Save the day.
Can somebody pull it up on their phone?
I've got the chat. I just don't
Yeah,
have
I
the-
know. I did a new one though. So you'll have to go back to the
Why'd you take my
PFS
name off
page.
this?
I did not.
Come on.
I can't hear you.
What'd you say? Yeah, all I heard was mush, 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 mush.
You need turkey. In the bag. Yeah, that's what I said.
Store doesn't have.
Hey, Sal.
What'd you say,
Is it still working
Yeah,
now?
it's working.
It is working?
Yeah. You already have a ton of comments in there.
Well, I know, but that was before I started the live video again.
It's live right now.
Yeah.
So somebody turn their volume on, and is it current?
Yes.
Cool. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me get back into it now. Welcome back. We got a few people in the room this time. So piggybacking off of last week's meeting about stop work authority and goal 0, kind of as a segue into next week's meeting about JSAs, today we are talking about hazard recognition. This is an important aspect of your guys' day-to-day operations. Basically, being engaged in and observing your surroundings. So a hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse effects on something or someone under certain conditions. So a hazard is only going to describe the initial conditions for incidents on the job site. Examples of these are tools, equipment, machinery, materials, the environment, people and their actions, and any malfunctions. So it takes a hazard being there and exposure to that hazard for an actual incident to occur. These are 3 types of hazards. Speaking about exposure, that's when you're most at risk from a hazard. So you're in the area, you are or could be affected by the hazard. Physical exposure happens when you're in close proximity to the danger zone and you actually contact it. So Jason, come here. I hope you can see where I'm standing. Yeah, okay. So, physical exposure to a hazard. There it is. Okay, so that is physical exposure to the hazard. It actually came into contact with your body. Second, we have environmental exposure. So you're in close proximity to the hazard. That's a very good example. If you didn't cover your mouth, that would be environmental, right? I did come into contact with it, being in close proximity with it, but it didn't physically touch me. I was still affected by it if he coughed on me, right? So, environmental. Potential exposure is where there's the possibility that you can be affected by it, but it doesn't actually affect you. So, if you have the Rona and we're in the same vicinity,
Right.
that's potential exposure to a hazard.
Yep.
Different sources of these hazards include gravity, motion, mechanical, electrical, biological, per our example, pressure, temperature, chemical, radiation, and sound. So we're going to go through a few actual hazards you guys can encounter out in your jobs, give you different examples of those. So we'll go over gravity and motion, respectively. Gravity, I think we're all pretty familiar with that, but definition of it, the force of attraction by which something falls toward the center of the earth. Can you give me examples of gravitational hazards?
Falling object.
Falling objects. More specific example that we can encounter. What?
Tools.
Sal. Okay, tools. Good. So yes, setting a tool down, maybe on an elevated surface, it falls off, falling to the ground, have the potential of exposing you to that hazard. Another that you might not really think of categorizing into this would be slips, trips, falls, right? Your person, yourself, is falling towards the ground. So we have those slips, trips, falls hazards. Motion is the action or process of moving or changing place or position. So any movement. Can we have examples of movement hazards?
Walking.
People walking. Exactly. Yes. I mean, that and my other example is vehicles moving, right? That's something that we consistently, obviously, day in and day out do, whether you be a supervisor or a driver or shop, right? Not only do we do it in our work, we do it in our personal lives as well. Put those two together, you have people walking and vehicles moving. Lots of room for exposure there. Electrical and biological hazards. So electrical energy is the presence and flow of an electrical charge. Again, pretty self-explanatory in terms of these, but what are some examples of electrical hazards?
Static.
Static, yes. Shop?
Not disconnecting batteries before working on the electrical system.
Batteries, good.
Sticking your finger in an electrical outlet.
Yes, okay. How about improper tools, right? I guess not improper, but malfunctioning tools, maybe cords, things like that. Okay, on to biological. That's the energy transactions between living organisms. Examples. COVID, yes. So, yeah, pretty bacteria, viruses, or any other kinds of exchanges between animals, humans, anything living.
Bloodborne pathogens.
Bloodborne pathogens, yes, which we'll save that for another safety meeting. Pressure and temperature. So pressure is the continuous physical force exerted on or against an object by something in contact with it. What are some pressure?
Thief hatch.
Thief hatch. That's good. What else?
Tanker.
Huh?
A tanker.
Great. Yes, pressured tankers.
Overfilling a tire.
Tires. How about hydraulics? Great. Temperature is the degree of heat or cold of a body, substance, or medium. Examples of temperature hazards you guys can encounter?
Outside right now.
Outside. Yes, exactly. So right now or middle of summer. Heat illnesses, cold illnesses. What else? Huh?
A fire.
Fire, exactly. Flash fires. Any kinds of heat that you guys in the shop are working on your equipment there as well. Our last one examples here, radiation and sound. So this definition has a lot of words. Radiation is the particles or electromagnetic waves, also known as energy, emitted by the atoms of radioactive sources and naturally occurring radioactive materials, also known as norm. So I think we're all pretty familiar with radiation as a term instead of its definition. So what are radiation hazards we have?
Guys doing service work on treaters can experience norms.
Good.
The sun.
The sun. Shop. One for you. Welding. There we go. That's the one. So yes, radiation is a huge hazard during welding operations. Sound is physical waves traveling through a medium, whether that be air or water, that cause a vibration to impact your eardrums. We recently did hearing conservation, correct? Had my nice little picture that was probably better than this one up there. What are some examples of sound hazards you guys can encounter?
Diesel engine?
Engines, yes. Big hazard there. What else?
Pumps.
Pumps. I mean, those are pretty good examples. Power tools in the shop, things like that. Awesome.
Airbags blowing.
Airbags blowing, yes. So, risk and risk management is also part of hazard identification. Factors that influence the degree of risk include how you're exposed to the hazard, how much you're exposed to a hazardous condition, or how severe the effects are under the conditions of exposure. So, whether that be direct contact, right, you have physical contact, environmental, or potential. All of those have their different effects on you in themselves. How much you're exposed to it, again, pretty self-explanatory if we take that in terms of a fire, right? If you're right next to the flash, you're gonna have more severe effects than if you're farther away. Same thing for sound. If you're right next to the sound that's happening, it's gonna be more damaging than if you're farther away. And how severe the effects are under the conditions of exposure. So pretty much those same things that we just talked about. There's obviously risks involved in all work-related operations. So after identifying risks through whether that be knowledge, your experience, job requirements that you have decisions that include assessing and managing those risks that you have the potential exposure to. Risk management is a proactive means to eliminate or lessen the threat of hazards. So basically, instead of reacting after an incident happens, you are proactively working to avoid the hazard or incident. Managing risks is done whenever you're going to modify the way you do something, minimizing the chance of an incident, and it also helps reduce or eliminate hazards anytime there's changes to work activities, including routine changes like maintenance or shift changes. I'm going to throw in the safety focus phrase right here and kind of finish this out. So our safety focus phrase, those of you online, you've been asking weekly again where it is. I haven't missed one. It is be actively engaged.
Supposed to be, don't let your people
What? Oh, right. Yeah. Hazard identification is the systematic observation of unsafe conditions, negative behaviors, and weaknesses within management structure that can lead to injuries and illnesses on the job site. So it's not, again, just a passive noticing of something. You are actively engaged, systematically observing those different conditions you're in. Identifying the hazards also helps determine the nature of the hazard, grouping it into one of those categories that we talked about earlier. And processes for identifying these include inspections, audits, incident and accident analyses, and pre-job reviews. So our safety inspections and audits, we're pretty familiar with those, I would assume. But those are going to examine conditions in the workplace, they identify any hazards, evaluate the quality of program designs and performance, make sure continuous improvement is happening in training, resources, enforcement, supervision, and leadership. That's why all these policies and things that we have aren't just stagnant, they're consistently being revised and refined. Pre-job review is what we call our JSAs. These are going to examine hazards associated with your jobs and any other specific jobs. They separate it into basic steps. Again, we're familiar with these. Separate it into steps, analyze each step, finding any potential hazards with it, and then implement any controls that we need to implement for those hazards as well. This is going to develop, obviously, safe job practices and procedures, make sure we're doing things the right and safe way, and improve job planning and communication. The purpose of JSAs, as we've talked about before, is to eliminate hazards and risks before incidents occur and communicate any current or possible hazards of a job or location. Again, more on that next week. So we want to make sure we are aware of our surroundings, we are actively engaging in them, and mitigating any risks and hazards that could be present. All right, Sal, you're up.
You're supposed to like separate us.
I don't know. Makes noise.
Well, okay. I did this one a little different. Again, this is based on what we see in the shop. That's how we do all of our safety things here. So, but this one in particular is a recurring issue, and we want to try and nip this right now. Again, there's a lot of changes happening right now. It's all for the best. Trust us. If it was something we were just crap shooting, it'd be impossible. But it's going to work out for the best, and you'll see why. I picked safety first on this one, and I had the question marks because I got to ask. I really wanted to ask some of the people: is this actions that you're taking? Is it safety or is it convenience? And that's what we need to figure out. When you break it down, safety is the condition of being protected from or unlikely to cause danger, risk, or injury. That being said, these next steps you're going to see, again, it throws a lot of questioning up as to whether safety was considered in this or not. When connections or wiring are altered from the original state without knowledge of the final outcome, convenient or inconvenient things will occur. Usually it's going to be inconvenient. And I picked this Finch box because some of the issues that we encountered was with this directly. That being said, we're trying our best to do things, but when human error comes into play, it slows things down considerably. The reason this topic came up again, like I said, is because specifically there were some wires moved on this alarm. Again, it's a safety issue. When things are tampered with like that, I got to ask, was it because there was an issue? Was someone notified about it, or was this to convenience a factor that helped you out rather than the company? I'm being very confrontational on this because it's a scary issue. Again, if everyone was assigned one truck and used just that truck, no problem, that's fine, it's your issue. But it's not that way. We all use different vehicles and different things, so it's imperative that we're all on the same page with this, and that's why I'm bringing this up now. Well, again, like I said, we're trying to do our best to our best of abilities to keep things up with the scheduling, with the repairs, the maintenance. It's going really well. However, when this thing comes into play like this, it slows things down considerably. This main topic came up because we had a trailer down for 2 days, and it had nothing to do with anything that had to do with the Finch box. It was because things were messed with. And that's where tampering is going to come into play. Understand, when these things come up, they're recognized and they're confronted. The people at Questionnaire were talked to about it. We're gonna move forward with it. That's done, it's over with. We're laying this groundwork out now because these are things we're looking for now, when these same errors come up. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Now, on a lighter note, what I can say is, the tire people came to us the other day, and since we've been doing our part, you guys as drivers have been doing your part, our tire consumption went down considerably. Things are working out the way we planned it. Well, I like to say the way I planned it, but it wasn't me. It was a team effort. And again, I kind of just filled the void. But the team, being you guys as drivers and the tire techs that we have, doing a phenomenal job. Things are going better, and I think with these new regulations we're going to start having in, it's going to go a lot better. That being said, again, the drivers, I like talking with you guys. I like getting info. Let's just keep it down to the phone calls and maybe a text, and not walking up to my desk and standing behind me. Sorry, that just freaks me out. So I think that's all I had, but thanks.
All right. Okay, one thing I want to bring up is Getty boxes. They need to be cleaned out, especially Devon locations. We've been finding a lot of them dirty again. Your witch's hat material that you guys clean out, put it in your 5-gallon buckets. Don't be dumping it back in the Getty box. Then it just makes a nightmare for somebody else, especially if it's ice. It makes it a nightmare to clean out. I've also found quite a bit of garbage on locations lately. Candy wrappers inside lacked units. Found 4 different pairs of gloves, all over on Esau Road, on those lacked unit locations. You got 5-gallon buckets, grab a trash bag, take care of it. I know you wouldn't leave that stuff laying on your kitchen table. Don't leave it on our customer's property. Pack it out with you. And buckets on the trailers. There's a lot of you that like to just hang them on there with the brackets. Also make sure you clean them out. Derek, our other supervisor, has found several of them on the side of the road that are full of dirt and yucky rags. A lot of you guys throw your seals in them. It's pretty identifiable when somebody else picks up a bucket on the side of the road. But it breaks brackets. If you just take care of it, it's really simple. Just dump your stuff out when you come back in the yard every night. That's all I got. You're up.
Got just one little tidbit I want to address. If you're driving and you're coming into a port of entry, what's your biggest fear as a driver?
Level 1.
Level 1 inspection, right? Well, I saw Mr. Jacob Ingram online here. Big kudos to him. Today he went through Donner Pass in the great state of California that's very anal on level 1 inspections. And he received a clean level 1. Ultimate big kudos to the shop too. Shop, you took 507 that has over 300,000 miles of oil field miles and made this truck job ready to go over the road. A whole different world. You guys did a lot of work on this thing. You busted your ass, and that's the reward of your efforts. This helps our DOT rating tremendously, a level 1. If you've never been through a level 1 and know what a level 1 is, they usually come at you with three troopers. They have their creepers, everything else. Anything on that truck, they're listening for audible air leaks, drips, excess of oil, grease, missing bolts, missing lug nuts. They're checking the fifth wheel, all the lighting devices. They're underneath you listening for air leaks. They're measuring the brake pads, the throw on the brake chambers, anything and everything. If you got chains hanging on there, are they secure? Are the mounts that holding the chains secure to the truck? So it's like going to the worst physical with the doctor you could ever imagine. But that kind of inspection is great. Thank you so much, Shop, for getting that job ready. And good job, Jake, for a good pre-trip before you hit that port to make sure everything's in order.
Good job, Shop.
Awesome ending to that safety meeting, guys. That is all we have for this week. We will see you next week, and have a safe Week. How many times can I say week? Okay. Adios. We'll see you next week.
Wait, you said it again.
Obviously 4 or 5.
And please sign the sheet before you leave. If you do not, you're not getting credit for it.
Not getting credit this week?
That includes management.
I do 5.